the next time I walk by here, it won't look anything like this. So everything is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of moment.
Darren Hagen is a professional artist of many disciplines. He writes and performs musical theater scores, is an actor, playwright, producer, director, and is a photographic artist. His latest gallery is called Rustworks.
It's basically photographs of rust, but I like it to pull out all the context of the rust that you're seeing, so the rust stands alone as its own piece of art. The rust has taught me to look in very ugly places of the city and of the country and finding little pieces of beauty within that sort of devastation. I love that. And seriously, I'm a total amateur. I'm point and click. It's on automatic. I've never taken it off automatic. But I know I've learned how to see stuff. I love the oranges and yellows and reds. That's a color that you work with a lot when you're taking pictures of rust, because that's the natural color. This was a giant piece of equipment. I can't quite remember what it was, but for some reason the pink paint was all that was left, and it had been scraped. And this, I see birds flying into the sunset. This is one of my favorites because it's got everything. It's got the rust, it's got the paint that was trying to cover up the rust, all of it's peeling away, you've got texture. The dark rust has started to stain and drip.
Came from a rusty paddle wheeler in Yukon. In all cases, Darren takes the digital pictures and expands sizes.
What is it about rusting metal? I mean, does each one have its own personality?
Completely, and texture and color, and it's just up to me to see it, find a way to compose it to make it look like art, and to capture it for all time. I think it's a fascinating thing. This was a giant piece of industrial equipment, like a tank or a dumpster or something like that, and obviously it's been painted over and then scarred back, and then painted over and scarred back. So as it gets used, the layers and layers of color come through, and it's just up to me as an artist to find that little crop that looks like a perfect painting. So this one's called It's a Jungle Out There. If you were to see a rusty tank and take a picture of it and then come back 2 years later, if it was still sitting there, the rust will have progressed and changed color, and the paint will have peeled more. So it's kind of the evolution and persistence of beauty, which I adore in that kind of a situation.
Yeah. So what do? Just walk around where you think there might be rusty objects?
Yeah, you'll find me in scrap yards and car auto dumps and back alleys, and anywhere where there's like a big pile of metal just sitting there. I'll see if I can find a rusty texture that I can grab a picture of. This one looks like it's got paint on it, but it's actually just a plain old sheet of iron. It was laying on the ground. This is a giant tire track from one of those giant industrial sort of tractor tires that's gone over it, and it created a muddy print and spattered mud. And then it sat there for 2 years, and the mud actually all turned into rust. So if you look really closely, you can actually see a raised texture of the orange. And just as I was standing above it, the clouds parted, and the blue sky reflected off the metal, and I got this brilliant blue. The art of rust and rust abstracts and stuff like that. So I'm certainly not the only person doing it, but I might be the only person in Edmonton that's putting it up on the walls. Isn't that weird? I'm not seeing any blue there, and yet it's showing up in my camera because of the white balance. Cool.
Rustworks remains on display at the Milner Library through the end of October. For Go Edmonton, I'm Tim Dancy.